There's a brutal truth in trading that no one wants to hear. 95% will lose, not because they lack strategy, not because they're not smart, but because they're not ready to face themselves. Trading isn't a battle against the market. It's a silent war between you and the parts of you that sabotage your success, your fear, your ego, your unhealed impulses. This video won't teach you how to enter a trade. It will show you how to become the kind of person the market can't destroy. And it all begins within. There's a truth in trading that few want to face. The market doesn't care about you. It doesn't know your name. It doesn't remember your losses. It doesn't reward effort. It doesn't punish laziness. The market has no feelings, no conscience, no mercy. It's not trying to hurt you. It's not trying to help you either. It simply exists. It moves. It breathes. It reacts, not to your dreams, but to reality. You might think the market is against you, that it's personal, that it's unfair, but the market isn't your enemy. It's a mirror, and the only thing it ever reflects is you. When you're anxious, it shows you volatility. When you're greedy, it tempts you with breakouts. When you're afraid to be wrong, it gives you every reason to hold on to a losing trade. And then when it breaks you, you'll scream, curse, blame the setup, the system, the spread, but deep down, you'll know. It wasn't the market that failed. It was you, refusing to see what was always there. The market isn't cruel, it's indifferent. But that indifference is what makes it the most honest teacher you'll ever meet. It won't sugarcoat your mistakes, it won't comfort your ego, it won't let you hide behind excuses, because unlike people, the market never lies. Out there in the world, effort is often rewarded. Work harder, get promoted, be kind, earn trust, be consistent, see results. But in the market, you can do everything right and still lose. You can study for hours, follow your plan, time your entry, and still get stopped out in seconds. Why? Because this game isn't about being right. It's about being resilient. This is why so many traders struggle. They enter the market hoping for certainty, but the market offers none. They crave control, but the market rewards surrender. They seek to win, but the market first demands they learn how to lose. And the ones who survive, they don't beg for gains. They don't rage at red days. They don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what part of me allowed this to happen? Because here's the truth. You're not trading the chart. You're trading yourself, your fears, your unresolved impulses, your childhood patterns, your need to prove something to someone who isn't even watching. That's why the market feels emotional, not because it has feelings, but because it reveals yours. And if you're paying attention, you'll start to realize every blown trade, every irrational impulse, every reckless entry wasn't the market punishing you. It was your own psychology, playing out in real time. So what do? You stop trying to beat the market and start using it to understand yourself. You journal your reactions, you study your habits, you begin to notice the patterns, not just in price, but in you. Because when you finally stop blaming the market, you start reclaiming power. And slowly, day by day, loss by loss, you begin the real work. Not of chasing trades, but of building the version of you that the market can't destroy. The market has no emotion, but it will teach you everything about yours. And if you're willing to listen, it just might transform not only how you trade, but who you are. We love the image of the bold trader, the gunslinger, the one who bets big, rides momentum, and walks away with millions. It's sexy, it's cinematic, but it's a lie. Because the best traders in the world, the ones who last, aren't thrill seekers. They're not brave in the way you think. They're cowards, and that's exactly why they survive. Not the trembling kind, not the type who folds under pressure, but the kind of cowardice born from deep respect for risk, for loss, for the cold-blooded reality of the market. They don't bet the farm. They don't fall in love with trades. They don't chase the feeling of being right. In fact, the moment they feel too good, they start getting nervous. You see, most traders feel powerful after a win. They think, I've figured it out. So they double their position size. They increase their risk. They stop listening to the voice that says, slow down. And that's the voice the best traders never ignore. Tony Saliba turned $50,000 into over $8 million trading options. His edge? Not his setups. Not his timing. It was his paranoia. He would reduce size after a win, not increase it. Why? Because he knew the most dangerous moment in trading is right after success, when confidence turns to arrogance, when skill becomes ego, when logic gets high on dopamine. Great traders are constantly scanning for danger. They don't look at profit potential. They look at what could go wrong. They protect their downside like it's sacred because they know the fastest way to destroy years of progress is one moment of carelessness. Tom Baldwin moved thousands of bond contracts in a single session. He looked aggressive on the outside, but inside, he was wired for defense. Every move was calculated, every loss quickly cut. He wasn't trying to win big, he was trying to stay alive. That's the paradox. The amateurs think strength is holding on, but the masters know real strength is letting go of the need to be right, letting go of oversized positions, letting go of the ego that says, I've got this. One trader told Jack Schwager, every time I feel confident, I size down. I want to feel like I could lose because that keeps me sharp. That's not fear, that's mastery. It's the humility to know that the market doesn't care how smart you are. It only cares how well you manage risk. New traders crave the rush, the big play, the all-in moment. They want the hero's journey, the story of turning nothing into something overnight. But professionals, they want longevity, they want control, they want peace of mind, not emotional chaos. It's like walking a tightrope over a canyon. The average trader stares at the view. The great trader watches the wind because it's not the beauty of the trade that matters. It's the balance, the discipline, the ability to walk away when things feel too easy. So here's the shift. Stop asking, how much can I make? Start asking, how much risk can I survive? Stop thinking bravery will make you rich. Because in trading, bravery is often just disguised recklessness. Survival is the real flex. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but the trader who lives to trade another day is the one who wins in the end. So if you feel fear before a trade, good. That means you're awake. That means you're paying attention. That means you're still alive in a game that wants to eat you alive. Every new trader walks into the market with the same question: what's the best system? They scour YouTube, they buy courses, they join discords, they jump from strategy to strategy like stepping stones over fire. RSI this week, Fibonacci next week, maybe Wyckoff next month. And every time it doesn't work, they blame themselves. It worked for someone else. What's wrong with me? But that's the wrong question, because the truth is, there is no perfect system. There is only a system that fits you. Jack Schwager interviewed dozens of the most successful traders alive, and what he found was shocking. They didn't trade the same way. They didn't use the same indicators. They didn't even agree on what worked. Some scalped, some swung, some relied on math, others relied on instinct. But they all had one thing in common. They built their system around who they are. Mark Ritchie, a trend-following trader, said it best. The key is to find an approach that fits your personality, not one that looks good on paper, not one that worked for your favorite YouTuber, but one that makes sense to you, to your psychology, to your pain tolerance, to your emotional rhythm. Because trading isn't just technical, it's deeply personal. Think about it like this. A system is like a pair of shoes. If they don't fit your feet, they will destroy you. It doesn't matter how expensive they are. It doesn't matter who designed them. If they don't fit you, they'll leave you blistered and broken. And yet, most traders would rather copy someone else than confront the truth of who they are. Why? Because it's easier to follow a signal than to admit you're afraid of losing. It's easier to chase someone's success than to face your own insecurity. It's easier to blame the system than to ask yourself the hard question, am I even meant to trade this way? Linda Raschke, one of the most successful intraday traders, once said that holding long-term trades felt like psychological torture. Not because the strategy was wrong, but because it didn't align with her. You see the pattern? It's not about finding the right system. It's about finding your system, one that aligns with your energy, your habits, your temperament. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. But finding that system takes honesty. And most people avoid that. They want shortcuts. They want certainty. They want to be told what to do. But mastery doesn't come from mimicking. It comes from self-discovery. Here's what one trader said after years of searching. I spent so long looking for the holy grail outside. Turns out it was inside me all along. I just had to dig through a lot of noise to hear it. So here's the shift. Stop chasing what works for others. Start studying what works for you. Journal your emotional triggers. Track your reactions. Notice when you feel calm and when you feel chaos, and then reverse engineer your edge from the inside out. Because in the end, the best traders don't trade better systems. They trade systems that reflect their inner truth. They don't try to conquer the market by force. They win by being aligned with themselves. So stop searching for the Holy Grail. There isn't one, but there is something better, a way of trading that fits you so well, it feels like breathing. And once you find that, you won't need to follow anyone ever again. Every trader has a scar. Some wear it on their face, others bury it deep in silence. But behind every seven-figure P&L, every perfect trading day, every calm decision under pressure, there was once chaos. There was once a chart that broke them, a day that shattered their confidence, a loss that made them question everything. No one tells you this when you start. They show the screenshots, the Lambos, the wins, the freedom. But they never show you the moment they blew up an account, or two, or three. The moment they stared at a red screen with shaking hands and thought, I don't know if I can do this anymore. The traders you admire, the legends, the wizards, they've all been there. Flatlined, humbled, humiliated. Some lost $10,000, others lost $600,000 in a single day. Not because they were stupid, not because they lacked skill, but because they made the same mistake we all do at some point. They thought they were in control. They held on to losing trades, ignored risk, chased losses, told themselves it'll bounce, just one more move, I can't be wrong. But the market doesn't care about your hope. It doesn't care about your pride. And when it teaches you that lesson, it teaches it hard. Some traders never recover. They quit. Not just the game, but a part of themselves. But others, they don't run. They stay. They face the wreckage and they start to rebuild. Not their accounts, themselves. That's when trading becomes something different. Not a shortcut to wealth, not a thrill-seeking game, but a mirror, a forge, a place where the false parts of you burn away. Pain becomes the teacher. Loss becomes the lesson. And if you listen, you realize that loss didn't happen to you. It happened for you. Because the truth is, most of us need to fall apart before we learn to be whole. Most of us need to lose big to finally respect risk, to stop trading for validation, to stop gambling with emotion. Some traders print out their biggest loss and tape it to their screen, not to shame themselves, but to remember what happens when ego trades instead of awareness, to remember that being right means nothing if you don't survive. In mythology, they call it the dark night of the soul, the moment the hero descends into darkness, stripped of everything, to face the monster within. In trading, that monster is your illusion of control, your refusal to cut a loser, your addiction to being right, your belief that you're smarter than randomness. And only by walking through that darkness do you emerge stronger, sharper, quieter inside. One trader said, I lost everything at 25. By 30, I was a millionaire. The difference? I stopped trying to beat the market and started letting it teach me. If you've ever blown up, good. That means the market is testing you, initiating you, stripping away the noise so you can hear the truth. And if you're still standing, still here, still willing to learn, then you're already ahead of most. Because blowing up an account doesn't make you a failure. Staying broken does. So if you're sitting in the ashes of your biggest loss, take a breath. Don't look away. This is where your real trading journey begins. Not in the wins, but in the wisdom carved by pain. The market doesn't punish you, it prepares you for the version of yourself that can't be broken. Nobody tells you this when you start trading. They teach you how to win, how to spot setups, how to enter at the right time, exit at the right level, but no one teaches you how to lose. And yet, that's the skill that separates the amateurs from the masters. Everyone loses, but only a few know how to lose. And that difference, that quiet, unsexy, often invisible difference, is what keeps some traders alive while others burn out, blow up, and disappear. Most new traders treat a loss like a personal failure. They get emotional, they freeze, they double down, they hope, they beg the market to just come back. But the market doesn't listen because it's not here to save you. It's here to test you. And the truth is, the more you fear losing, the more it controls you. Every tick against you feels like an attack. Every red candle feels like judgment. Every loss becomes a blow to your identity. But the best traders, They don't take losses personally, they take them professionally. They treat each red trade like a data point, a signal, an expense, not a verdict on who they are, but a cost of doing business. Marty Schwartz, one of the most consistent traders ever, turned $40,000 into over $20 million. How? He lost better than most people win. His rule? Get out fast. If the market moves against you, don't rationalize, don't argue, don't wait, cut, reset, move on. Because the longer you hold a loser, the more likely it becomes a disaster. And not just for your account, but for your state of mind. Most amateurs lose slow. They hesitate. They let pain linger. They tell themselves, it'll bounce, just wait. But what starts as a paper cut becomes a wound, then a scar, then a story they carry for years. The pros, they lose fast, small, clean, quietly, because they understand a deep truth. The goal isn't to avoid losing. The goal is to avoid spiraling. One trader called losses tuition. He said the market charges you to learn, but most people drop out after the first semester. That line says everything, because losing isn't just inevitable, it's required. If you're doing this right, you will lose. You will be wrong. Often, but you'll be wrong small. And that's the difference. Some of the greatest traders ever had win rates under 40%, but they made millions. Why? Because when they lost tiny. And when they won big. That's the entire math of elite trading in one line. Minimize losers, maximize winners. Survive long enough to repeat. But to do that, you have to let go of your ego. You have to unlearn everything the world taught you about failure. You have to stop tying your self-worth to your P&L, because the market doesn't care how you feel. It only respects how you respond. So what does it mean to lose like a professional? It means you honor your stop loss, you don't chase, you don't justify, you don't fight what the chart is showing you. You lose quickly, with grace, and you move on. Losing is a skill, one of the hardest you'll ever learn. But once you master it, something shifts. You stop fearing losses. You start respecting them. You see them not as enemies, but as part of the path. And that's when something strange happens. You stop losing control and start gaining freedom. We all admire the trader who just knows. The one who sees the chart twitch and instantly feels what's coming. No indicators, no second guessing, just instinct, precision, flow. It looks effortless, almost mystical, like some traders were born with a gift the rest of us don't have. But here's the truth no one talks about. Intuition is not a miracle. It's a memory, a muscle, a map drawn from thousands of hours inside the storm. Intuition is not about guessing. It's not a vibe. It's not luck. It's a synthesis, a silent summary of everything you've ever seen, felt, and survived in the market. It's your nervous system whispering, you've been here before. The greatest traders didn't start out trusting their gut. They earned the right to. They built it through repetition, through reflection, through pain. They blew up accounts, they overtraded, they hesitated, then chased, then hesitated again. And somewhere in that chaos, a rhythm began to form. Bruce Kovner, who turned $3,000 into over $300 million, said, there comes a point where you just feel it. You can't explain it, but something feels off. That's not magic. That's subconscious pattern recognition, your brain processing signals faster than you can explain. In neuroscience, it's called implicit learning. It's how an athlete knows when to pivot, how a musician anticipates the next chord, how a soldier senses danger before it happens. It's not psychic, it's not divine, it's deeply human and brutally earned. But here's the part most traders miss. You only develop true intuition after years of feedback. And that feedback only matters if you're paying attention. That means journaling, reviewing, feeling your wins, your losses, your fears, and reflecting on them. Not numbing, not blaming, not avoiding. Every time you exit too late, every time you size up out of ego, every time you break your rules, that's your training, that's your tuition, that's your edge, if you use it. One trader said he would narrate his thoughts out loud while watching the market. Prices stalling, volumes fading, buyers are hesitating. Not to sound smart, but to train his nervous system, to turn his observations into instinct, because what feels automatic later is built from what you do intentionally now. But most beginners confuse intuition with impulse. They get a feeling and jump. They call it instinct. But it's just adrenaline. And adrenaline will kill you faster than any bad setup. True intuition is quiet. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It's the calm knowing, not the anxious rush. And it only speaks clearly when you've put in the work to listen to yourself. So if you don't trust your gut yet, good. That means you're honest. It means you're not bluffing yourself into disaster. But if you want to get there, if you want to build a gut that actually deserves your trust, you have to commit to the boring work. Track every trade, record your thoughts, study what triggers you, find your flow and your fear again and again and again. Because intuition isn't something you have, it's something you become. And when you finally feel it, that quiet inner certainty, you'll know it wasn't magic. It was memory, sharpened by fire, forged in truth. Every trader remembers that one moment, that one streak where everything seemed to click. The entries were clean, the exits were sharp, the money flowed like magic. Confidence builds, the charts look easy. You start to think, I've got this, I figured it out. And then you size up because you're not just trading anymore, you're chasing something. Validation, glory, the feeling of control. You double the position, you widen the stop, you tell yourself, this is the one that changes everything. And maybe it does, just not in the way you hoped. The truth is harsh but undeniable. Size doesn't just amplify profits, it amplifies your emotions. What felt manageable at 1x becomes chaos at 5x. The same chart, the same setup, the same plan. But now, every candle feels like a personal attack. Every retracement tightens your chest. Every tick against you feels like failure. You're not trading price action anymore. You're trading your survival instinct. And that's the moment most traders lose everything. Not because the setup was wrong, not because the market was unfair, but because the size was too big for the person they were in that moment. You see, size doesn't just test your capital, it tests your identity. It asks, how much pressure can you handle before your discipline collapses? Because when the money gets too big to breathe, so does the fear, so does the hope, so does the need to be right. In the New Market Wizards, Jack Schwager interviewed elite traders who said something shocking. When I feel good, I get scared. That's when I know to reduce size. Not increase, reduce. Why? Because they understood what most traders never learn. Confidence is seductive, but confidence plus size, that's deadly. One trader lost over $2 million in a single day. He was on a hot streak. He thought he earned the right to go big, but what he actually earned was the right to stay disciplined, to protect the process that built his success. Instead, he gambled it, and the market reminded him, you are never bigger than risk. The best traders treat position sizing like handling explosives, deliberate, measured, controlled. They know that one oversized position can undo months, even years of growth. So they trade smaller than they could, not because they're weak, but because they're wise. And here's the irony. Most new traders ask, how much can I make on this trade? But the pros, they ask, how much emotion can I absorb before I self-sabotage? Because that's the real risk, not the chart, not the news, not the volatility. It's you, the version of you that shows up when the money feels too real to think clearly. So here's the shift. Don't trade big to feel powerful. Trade small to stay in control. Because power in trading isn't about bravado, it's about composure. The trader who survives 1,000 trades beats the one who crushes 10 and blows up on the 11th. So the next time you win, don't bet bigger, bet smarter. Honor your process. Respect your edge. Protect your peace. Because when the size gets too big, the market won't have to kill you. You'll do it yourself. Most people think trading is about money, charts, profits, getting rich. But the longer you stay in this game, the more you realize trading isn't just a skill. It's a mirror, a crucible, a dojo for the soul. Every day you sit at your desk, alone, staring at a screen that doesn't care if you win or lose. You're not fighting the market. You're not fighting price. You're fighting yourself, your fear, your pride, your need to be right, your hunger for control. These are the real opponents. And the market, it just brings them out of hiding. Because trading doesn't just test your strategy, it tests your identity. It asks, who are you when nothing is certain? Who are you when your plan fails? Who are you when the market humbles you again and again and again? It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest, being present, being willing to face the parts of yourself that most people spend a lifetime avoiding. And make no mistake, the market will expose it all. That need to impress, that fear of letting go, that unhealed voice in your head that whispers, you're only worth something when you win. The market doesn't punish you, it reflects you. And when you're paying attention, Every loss becomes a lesson. Every trade becomes a test of self-awareness. In martial arts, they say the dojo is sacred, not because of what happens on the mat, but because of what happens inside you while you train. Trading is the same. It forces you to confront your reactions, to feel every impulse, to sit with discomfort without running from it. You don't become enlightened after one win, and you don't become a master after 1 month of green trades. You grow through repetition, through watching your ego rise and learning not to feed it, through feeling your fear spike and learning not to flinch. One trader said, "I stopped trying to beat the market. I started trying to beat the worst parts of me." That's what this really is. Not a quest for wealth, a quest for clarity, for self-mastery, for internal stillness in the middle of external chaos. And if you stay long enough, if you survive the cycles of hope and despair, something begins to shift. You stop chasing, you stop needing, you stop grasping for outcomes to validate your worth. Instead, you show up, present, disciplined, detached, not passive, but powerful in your surrender. Because you understand the goal is not control. The goal is alignment with the market, with the moment, with yourself. This is why some of the greatest traders sound more like monks than Wall Street killers, because they've seen what happens when ego trades. They've lived through the panic. They've lost themselves in the noise, and then found peace in the process. They didn't just change their systems, they changed themselves, from arrogance to humility, from reaction to response, from fear to focus. That's the real prize of trading. Not just financial freedom, but emotional freedom. The kind that doesn't rise and fall with your P&L. The kind that can sit calmly in red because the process was right. The kind that can walk away from a perfect setup because your spirit said no. So the next time you sit in front of your chart, don't just ask, where's the trade? Ask, what is this moment asking me to face? Because maybe the market isn't trying to make you rich. Maybe it's trying to make you real. The greatest shift in a trader's life doesn't happen when they learn a new strategy. It doesn't happen with their first big win. It happens the day they stop chasing results and start honoring the process. At first, we all crave the outcome, the green days, the profit, the confirmation that we're finally doing it right. We tie our self-worth to the P&L. When we win, we feel invincible. When we lose, we feel like frauds. It's emotional whiplash, and it's unsustainable. But the pros, they see it differently. They know the outcome is noisy, random, often misleading. You can do everything right and still lose. You can break every rule and still win. So if results are your compass, you'll spin in circles, never knowing what's real. One trader in the New Market Wizards put it simply, "I stopped caring if I was right. I only cared if I followed my rules." That's not detachment, that's discipline. Because when your identity is tied to results, the market owns you. But when your identity is tied to the process, you become unshakable. Process is what keeps you grounded when the market gets chaotic. It's what keeps you calm when a trade goes red. It's the checklist, the ritual, the structure that protects your psychology from the storm. The best traders are boring. They don't chase thrill. They don't crave drama. They do the same thing at the same time in the same way, over and over again. Not because they lack creativity, but because they found something more powerful: consistency. One trader said, "I had a day where I followed my system perfectly. I respected every stop, I followed every signal, and I lost money. But that was a perfect day." Why? Because he didn't measure his success by whether he won or lost. He measured it by whether he showed up as his best self. That's what process gives you: a stable identity, a clear focus, a quiet kind of confidence that doesn't rise and fall with your account balance. Most traders treat trading like gambling. They wake up hoping the market gives them something. But real traders, they don't hope, they prepare. They follow a routine so sharp, so precise, that even on a losing day, they walk away with clarity. Because the game they're playing is no longer win versus lose. It's discipline, emotion. Think about that. What if your real scoreboard isn't how much you made, but how well you executed? What if your true edge isn't in your system, but in how consistently you honor it? Most people don't want to hear that. They want the dopamine, the jackpot trade, the shortcut. But the truth is simple. The market rewards repetition, not excitement. So here's the shift. Stop asking, did I win today? Start asking, did I trade well today? Stop obsessing over outcomes. Start obsessing over execution. Because if you fall in love with your process, you free yourself from needing the result. And that's where the real power lives. Not in the wins, but in the rituals that shape you. Not in the outcome, but in the identity that survives it. The market is chaos. Your job is to be the one consistent thing inside it. Trade your plan, trust your system, honor your rules, especially when it hurts. Because if you can do that, you've already won, even on the red days. Every trader is told to have conviction. Believe in your setup, trust your analysis, stick to your plan, but there's a hidden danger in that advice. Because conviction without flexibility isn't strength, it's self-destruction. The market rewards clarity, not stubbornness, and the line between the two is razor thin. You can have a perfect thesis, a well-timed entry, a textbook setup, and the market can still turn on you in an instant. And in that moment, your greatest edge is not how strongly you believe, but how quickly you can let go. The best traders in the world aren't married to their trades. They're not emotionally tied to being right. They act with boldness, but they pivot without hesitation. One trader said, "I'm always confident in my trade until I'm not. And when I'm not, I'm gone." That's not indecision. That's mastery. Because real conviction isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to hold on and when to release. You see, most people confuse conviction with ego. They think letting go means weakness, that changing your mind means you were wrong, that stopping out means you failed. But in trading, the opposite is true. Flexibility is not weakness, it's wisdom. Markets shift, momentum fades, news drops, setups break, and if you're still clinging to your thesis like it's gospel, you're not trading the market anymore. You're trading your memory of what it used to be. That's how good trades become bad trades, how minor losses become major ones, how promising careers flame out in silence, not because of bad strategies, but because of unshakable egos. Think of it like martial arts. The moment your body stiffens, you lose flow. You become predictable, vulnerable, easy to throw. But when you stay fluid, supple, responsive, you become dangerous in the best way. Not reactive, but adaptive. Not impulsive, but aware. That's the paradox of mastery. Conviction must dance with surrender. You need both fire and water, focus and detachment, the will to act, and the humility to release. One of Schwager's traders put it perfectly. My biggest edge, I change my mind faster than anyone I know. Not because he lacked belief, but because his belief served reality, not the other way around. This is the mental shift that most never make. They cling to certainty in a game that punishes certainty. They want control in a world built on chaos, and when the trade goes wrong, they tighten their grip, they double down, they spiral, because surrender feels like giving up. But here's the truth. Surrender is not defeat. Surrender is respect. For the market, for the moment, for yourself. To surrender doesn't mean to stop caring. It means you care more about staying in the game than proving you're right. It means you're loyal to the truth, not your ego. So, next time you feel conviction surging in your chest, ask yourself, am I acting from clarity or attachment? Do I believe in the setup or am I afraid to admit I was wrong? Am I holding this position or is it holding me? Because the best traders don't never doubt. They doubt wisely. They build systems with exit plans. They predefine their surrender points. They don't argue with the tape. They listen to it. Conviction gives you direction. Surrender keeps you alive. Together, they create balance. And in that balance, you become something rare, a trader who can act decisively and release instantly. Every new trader wants someone to follow, a guru, a voice of certainty, someone who has all the answers, all the signals, all the wins. We want to believe that if we just find the right teacher, the right course, the right strategy, everything will finally make sense. But here's what the greatest traders eventually discover. There is no one coming to save you. And the longer you wait for a guru to lead you, the longer you delay becoming your own master. In the New Market Wizards, Jack Schwager interviewed dozens of elite traders, men and women who made millions, sometimes hundreds of millions. And do you know what shocked him most? They didn't trade the same way. Some scalped, some held for months, some were technical to the core. Others didn't use a single indicator, and yet they all succeeded. Not because they found the right person to follow, but because they stopped following altogether. One trader said, "My system only works because it's built around my mind, my emotions, and my weaknesses." That level of self-awareness can't be downloaded. It can't be copy-pasted. It has to be earned. But most traders don't want that. They want shortcuts. They want blueprints. They want someone else to make the hard decisions for them because it feels safer to follow. If it goes wrong, you can blame the guru, blame the signal, blame the system. But here's the hard truth. The moment you outsource your decision making, you outsource your growth. You trade, but you never transform. You repeat, but you never reflect. You collect setups, but you never build wisdom. You stay stuck in the same place, not because you lack skill, but because you've never taken full responsibility. The anti-guru mindset changes that. It says, I'll learn from others, but I won't become them. I'll extract principles, but I'll filter them through who I am. Think of jazz musicians. They don't just mimic solos, they absorb them, twist them, break them, until something unique emerges, a style that is theirs and theirs alone. That's what real traders do. They study the greats, but they don't copy them. They build a system that fits their own rhythm, their own psychology, their own edge. And when they finally arrive, it doesn't look like anyone else. That's why true market wizards don't sell magic formulas. They don't claim to have the secret. They don't need followers. Because they know what works for them might destroy you. It's not that mentorship is bad, it's that dependence is deadly. Learning is essential, but blind loyalty is a trap. So here's the shift. Don't look for someone to copy. Look for someone who inspires you to explore, to experiment, to build, to trust your own signals, to face your own fears, to become your own expert, because that's what the best traders did. They stopped seeking approval. They stopped waiting to be told. They stopped worshiping others and started trusting themselves. This is the anti-guru mindset. Humble enough to learn, bold enough to question, honest enough to own every mistake, and strong enough to walk a path that no one else can walk for you. We look at legendary traders and think they were born different, that they had something we don't, a sharper mind, a secret system, a gift for reading charts like a second language. But what if the truth is far more uncomfortable and far more empowering? What if they weren't born different? What if they simply refused to stay the same? Every great trader began the same way you did, confused, insecure, inconsistent. They didn't enter the market with superpowers. They entered with questions, with pain, with a desire to figure out why they kept sabotaging themselves. And somewhere along the line, they realized the real edge isn't found in indicators. It's not in a strategy. It's not in a course. It's in identity. Because you don't trade your system. You trade yourself, your fears, your habits, your trauma, your hunger to prove something, your need to be right, your inability to let go. And until you change the person behind the trade, no system will save you. This is the journey no one markets, no one sells, no one makes sexy thumbnails for, but it's the one journey that turns ordinary traders into legends. It's not about following someone else's playbook, it's about writing your own. Every loss, every blown account, every moment of shame isn't the end. It's the forge. It's where the old version of you begins to burn away and something new begins to emerge. You start to journal, not your trades, but your emotions. You stop chasing thrill and start chasing clarity. You stop needing to be right and start needing to be real. And slowly, without fanfare, you stop being someone who trades and start becoming a trader. That's the moment everything changes. Because you're no longer driven by outcomes, you're driven by evolution. You don't fear red days because you trust the process. You don't overtrade because you've built peace with patience. You don't need to follow because you've learned how to listen to yourself. One trader said, "The market was just the stage. The real drama was inside me." That's the truth no one wants to admit. Trading is the vehicle, but the destination is becoming someone the market can't break. You've spent enough time learning setups. Now it's time to learn yourself, to recognize the version of you that keeps getting in the way, to separate instinct from impulse, discipline from desperation, conviction from ego. Because the trader who survives isn't the one who has the best system. It's the one who has the deepest self-awareness. They know when they're off. They know when to walk away. They know that sitting out is still trading, and that not every trade deserves their energy. That kind of clarity doesn't come from a mentor. It comes from experience, from humility, from being shattered by the market and putting yourself back together, stronger, cleaner, sharper. So stop asking, what should I follow? And start asking, who am I becoming every time I show up to trade? Because that's the real scoreboard, not your P&L, but your personal evolution. Not the gains you've made, but the noise you've let go of. Not how often you've been right, but how much more honest you've become. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need anyone's strategy. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. All you need is the courage to step out of imitation and into identity. That's when you stop being a student of the market and become a master of yourself. That's when you stop chasing someone else's dream and begin living your own. That's when you stop trading to win and start trading to become. That's when you become your own market wizard. You've just heard the mindsets that built some of the greatest traders in history. But remember this, insight doesn't change you, action does. You can nod your head, feel inspired, even say, that really hit me. But if you walk away and go back to trading the same way, reacting the same way, thinking the same way, then nothing changes. And the market will remind you of that. So here's your challenge. Choose one insight, just one, the one that hit you the hardest, the one that exposed a truth you've been avoiding. Write it down, reflect on it, live it. Because when you put it into action, even in the smallest way, you start to become someone new. Someone the market can't shake, can't break, can't ignore. And if you're ready to go deeper, to stop trading like a follower and start building the version of you that can't be destroyed, then join the journey. Subscribe, share this with a trader who needs it, and most importantly, start the conversation with yourself. Because the market doesn't care about your goals. It responds to your identity, and every trade is a decision about who you're becoming. So what will your next trade say about you?